Welcome to the lecture series in computer science. We are seeing a series of lectures in the subject Agile Methodologies. We will be seeing a topic on the Earl School of Knowledge Management. As the contents of the session are, we will be seeing about the different types of learning or the different types of knowledge. It has been broadly classified into three different types. One is called as a tacit knowledge or the tacit learning. The second one is called as the explicit knowledge or the explicit learning. The third one is said to be the implicit knowledge or the implicit learning. All the knowledge, it could be acquired through proper learning. Now, as a second part, we will be seeing about the knowledge creation techniques and the challenges that we face during the knowledge creation. And then we will be seeing some of the categories in the Michael Earl Knowledge Management School. As well, we will be seeing the core principles that are followed in the Earl Knowledge Management School. And then we will be concluding the session by seeing the focus areas that are prevalent in the Earl Knowledge Management School. So, as a first topic, we will be seeing about the difference between a tacit learning, explicit learning and the implicit learning. What is a tacit learning? As I said, you can acquire some knowledge only through certain learning methodology. So, as far as a tacit knowledge is concerned, how do we get it? We get through experience, we get through this competence level, we get through this commitment. What does it mean? Based on learning, you will be learning certain things based on the previous experience, based on the past stories, based on certain failures, based on certain happenings. Just like that, we will be seeing the other people, supposing if they have failed in some of the project, we will be doubly cautious and we will see to that we should not fail in that particular aspect and we need to succeed well. So, such a kind of learning will happen only through experience. So, hence this tacit learning is also called as an experience learning. So, this tacit learning, we get it through this experience by past analysis, by failure analysis, just by seeing we learn things. That is called as the tacit knowledge. Learning through experience is called tacit knowledge, learning through experience. Whereas in the case of explicit knowledge, this explicit knowledge is obtained through classroom training, through documentation. It is all verbose, that is, we used to read, study and we get more and more concepts by learning many different books, by reading many different books, and by this way we will be acquiring knowledge. Such a knowledge we call it as explicit knowledge. So, explicit knowledge is also called as a classroom knowledge. Then the third one is said to be the implicit knowledge. As far as this implicit knowledge is concerned, it is learning of the complex information in an incidental manner without the awareness of what has been learned. That is, we do not know what is there in our textbook. Supposing if it is for an examination, what we do is, if few things are said to be so complex, we are not able to understand. Usually what the girl candidate they used to do is, they used to by heart, they used to memorize the contents and they used to produce it in the paper, and there are exceptional cases even. So, in such a case of the complex information, few people have a habit. Supposing if there are 10 points and you are supposed to list all the 10 points, few people have a habit of just taking the first letter of all the 10 points, something like they will be taking it as FAMES and they will be expanding it as for F, flight, airport. So, something like that they will be expanding it. So, few people have a habit of memorizing this first letter of the keywords and then they will present it in the examination, they will score marks and they will forget. So, it is a kind of incidental learning. Implicit learning is an incidental learning. Incidental learning in the sense wherein you will be learning the complex information, but without understanding, without knowing the know-how of what it is, you will be learning the complex information. Such a kind of learning you call it as an implicit learning, and the learning that is obtained, you call it as the implicit knowledge. So this is the basic difference between tacit, explicit and implicit, and it is a very important interview point of view question as well and examination point of view question. Now let us see the few conversions that are explained in the Nonaka's dynamic knowledge creation model. This Nonaka is a scientist. In the year 1988 they created a knowledge creation model wherein you have the tacit with the horizontal line over here the top at 2 quadrants, and then the explicits. So in the first quadrant wherein you have both tacit and tacit, you deal with the socialization, whereas in the case of tacit and explicit it deals with externalization, whereas in the case of explicit and explicit it deals with combination, whereas in the case of explicit and tacit it deals with internalization. Now let us see what is socialization, what is externalization, what is combination, what is internalization. As I said, my dear viewers, kindly understand, anything and everything revolves around these two different topics, two different terminologies. One is called as tacit, the other one is called as explicit. Tacit comes through experience, explicit comes through classroom learning. Now let us see what is socialization, how it gets converted, what is externalization, what is combination and what is internalization. Now in the case of socialization, the conversion made between tacit to tacit is called socialization. The conversion that is made between the experience, that is tacit, experience to the classroom learning is called externalization. My dear viewers, you would have seen in some of the seminars, the real-time project manager, he will be coming and he will be sharing his own experience. He will not be reading the contents from the book. So such a kind of conversion, he will be delivering it to the audience. Such a kind of conversion between the tacit knowledge that he obtained through experience and he converts it to the explicit knowledge, it's called as an externalization. That is why he is called as an external expert. The third thing, conversion between explicit to explicit is called combination. I learnt from my previous experience, and if I am going to leave an organization, before you could leave an organization you will be asked to do the KT. What is KT? KT denotes knowledge transfer. You will be doing the knowledge transfer. So when you are doing this knowledge transfer, what we will do is we will be sharing our own experience. We will be sharing what went wrong, what went right, what has happened to this particular project, what is the project that was previously delivered to the client, who was the client, who are the stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders? My dear viewers, I have already informed you about the stakeholders. Any person whoever is involved in the outcome of the project are called the stakeholders. So when you are going to share your knowledge, when you are going to make a knowledge transfer to the new employee, then you are sharing your own experience, you are sharing the contents that you have worked upon. So such a kind of explicit to explicit conversion, you call it as combination. Then the fourth one is the conversion between explicit to tacit is called internalization. What is this? Supposing if you are a fresher and you go for a job wherein your faculty member would have taught you Java or C or Python programming in a different way, but when you work in an industry, the way you work Python programming in an industry will be different. That is, the coding standards, the naming styles will be different. In your college life you would have used a smaller naming terminology, but in industry, based on the client's need, based on the functional requirement, you are supposed to give the naming. So they are the different styles. So learning between the classroom to the real time world and you get the real experience out of it is called as internalization. So these are the four conversions that were explained by the scientist Nonaka, and it is called as the dynamic knowledge creation model. Now let us see the knowledge creation techniques. As far as the software industry is concerned, as far as the software projects are concerned, it is highly classified into three different projects. One is called as an in-house project, Other one is called as a co-located project. Third one is called as the distributed project. Now, in-house project and co-located projects, they are all the local projects, whereas a distributed project is usually it will be called as a global project, and that is the reason we have given it as locally and globally. How this knowledge creation techniques happen locally and globally. Here, as far as the in-house and co-located projects are concerned, in-house projects are the projects that are handled within the same organization, within the four walls of the organization, and as far as the co-located projects are concerned, the projects are handled, one team will be at one particular location, the second team will be in a different office which is located somewhere around 10 kilometers radius from this particular office. The other team will be at a different location somewhere around 20 kilometer radius from this particular office. So, wherein if you want to call them for a face-to-face meeting, you can call them immediately. So, such a kind of team you call it as the co-located team. As far as the distributed team is concerned, one team will be in Chennai, the other team will be in New Delhi, the third team will be in Hyderabad, the fourth team will be in Melbourne, the fifth team will be in Ethiopia. It is not possible to call all the teams. It is not possible to have a face-to-face discussion, wherein if at all you require, you can have only a video conferencing. But there is a difference between having a video conferencing and having a face-to-face discussion. You can interact more in terms of face-to-face. You can get their facial gestures when you meet through a face-to-face discussion. So, such a kind of project you call it as a distributed project, and hence it is called as a global project. Now, let us see few techniques for this knowledge creation. One is the pair programming. As far as the pair programming is concerned, where do we use this pair programming? My dear viewers, you would have seen this pair programming. Pair programming is a technique that is used in an agile methodology called as extreme programming. In short, it is called as XP. So, how do we work with the pair programming? Here, two people will sit together and they will be working on the same logic of code. When one person works with the code, the other person will do the testing aspect. When the second person works with the code, the first person will be involved in the testing aspect of what he is going to do, and then both will be working on the same logic of code. Such a technique you call it as pair programming. Here, so for this you need to have knowledge creation. How this knowledge creation works over here? Both have to interact, both should be interactive, both should be collaborative enough to work in a project, then only they can work out in a successful manner, and that is the reason, and both people should have a same frequency level. There should not be any sort of ego between themselves. So, that is the reason we call it as a knowledge creation. As far as this customer collaboration is concerned, why do we go in for this agile methodology? We go in for this agile methodology when you have a change in requirement, when there is a requirement creep and the customer will be involved in the project, either the customer or the customer representative. CR denotes customer representative. The customer representative will be the part of the agile projects exclusively with respect to extreme programming or with the project management approach, something like the Scrum framework. The customer representative will be part of the team, and hence this customer representative is also called as the product owner. In short, it is called as PO, the product owner. So, the development team has to collaborate with the customer representative, has to collaborate with the product owner, and if there are any changes, it is the responsibility of the customer representative to intimate the change then and there, so that as many changes in the project can be avoided by the development team. So, the customer has to collaborate. So, when he is going to collaborate, there will be a sort of knowledge creation. Then the third one is to be the Scrum boards. Scrum board is also called as storyboard, or it is also called as a task board. So, here what happens here is that all the user stories will be placed by the Scrum master. So, when the Scrum master is going to place the user stories, it is a responsibility of the development team to pick their willing user story. So, when they are going to pick the user story, it is the responsibility of the Scrum master even to check whether all stories have been picked out, and the stories will be placed based on priority, and based on priority, based on the progress, the storyboard will be divided into 3 parts. One is new, other one is in progress, third one is done. To do, or else to be in simple, to do, doing and done. This is how the storyboard will be split up into. Here many different stories will be placed like this. So the development team will be picking out each and every story, and each and every story will be prioritized. It will be prioritized. So based on priority, based on the story, the knowledge could be shared from their own peers, their own counterparts, their own colleagues. So the fourth one is workshop and seminar. In the case of workshop and seminar, more and more interactive sessions could be had in terms of workshop. They get a practical hands-on experience when they are having their learning spree through this workshop. And then community of practice. Say for example, if you happen to be a fresher, if there is an experienced team, when they are working, you will be put in the experienced team and you will be allowed to learn, you will be allowed to just witness whatever those people are seeing, whatever those people are working. So in that case, you get a sort of practice, that you get a sort of learning experience. Such a learning, you call it as the tacit learning. You are learning through this experience. Then fourth one is the next one is the technical presentation. Then you have the technical forum and blog. Now let us see few of the challenges that are available in the knowledge sharing in the distributed projects. As far as distributed projects are concerned, as I said, one of the team member is in Ethiopia, other team member is in Delhi. So there is a language conflict. People whoever is there in Ethiopia, there may be a case he might not be good at the English communication, wherein these people, they will not be good at speaking Swahili language. So in that case there will be a language issue. Then communication. In terms of communication, if it is of a Chinese client, he would have said it in a different manner and you would have interpreted it in a different manner. You will not be in a position to understand what people are saying. Even when you interact with the US people, they might be very fast enough in terms of communication, wherein our Indian communication will not be so fast. Few people will be finding it difficult in terms of understanding. Then misunderstanding. The concept given said by the customer may be different and the understanding level, it may be different, and when it is understood by this analyst, such a requirement, you call it as business requirement. When the business requirement is being converted to the team member, it is called as functional requirement. So when there is a misunderstanding happens in the business requirement itself, definitely the functional requirement will also become wrong. So then visualization. Visualization denotes how you are going to express, how it is graphically represented. The picture is worth more than 1000 words. So how it is being represented graphically. Then cultural differences, racism, races. Then technological differences. The technology that is used in the developed countries may be far ahead when compared to our own country. But in today's condition, whatever the technology that is used in developed country, we are also adopting, but there may be a small slag, small delay. So this is one of the challenge. Then time zone difference. It will be a daytime for us and it will be a night time for US people, and it might be daytime for them, it might be night time for us. So time zone difference is one of the challenge. Lack of information. This happens because the customer by himself, he will not be knowing the requirements. So in that case, what happens? There will be a requirement creep takes place. Requirement creep is, if he is not knowing the requirements in advance and if he is going to give the requirements then and there, very often if he is going to change the requirements, then the requirement creep takes place. So these are some of the challenges in distributed projects. Then Let us now come to the main content of the Michael Earl KM School, Knowledge Management School. In the year 2001, Michael Earl tried to map the knowledge management into a taxonomy of 7 knowledge management schools, each based on the existing and observable practice. This taxonomy grouped these schools into 3 major categories, namely technocratic, economic, behavioral. My dear viewers, as far as the examination point of view is concerned, what are the categories in which the Earl's KM schools are being categorized, classified? It is technocratic, economic and behavioral. So now let us see what technocratic is. Technocratic category, it lacks knowledge on the business performance improvements, even though this missing knowledge is available within the organization and can be transferred effectively and accurately. The schools that follow this technocratic category are 3 schools follow this technocratic category. One is called as the system school, second one is called as cartographic school, third one is called as process school. My dear viewers, again, what are the categories, what are the schools that follow this technocratic category is an important question. There are 3 schools that follow this technocratic category. One is the system school, second one is a cartographic school, third one is a process school. Now, what is a system school? This school puts emphasis on knowledge creation with no help available, that is, it further validates by esteemed peers, codified and stored. Here, codification is done. Whereas in the case of cartographic school, it identifies only the knower of the tacit knowledge, learning through experience, that is the directory of experts. In terms of the process school, it consists of 2 components arising from business process re-engineering. In short, it is called as BPR, that is the description of the process plus output generated by such process. The process schools are the hybrid between system and cartographic schools. This process school is a combination of system school plus cartographic school. Next is the economic category. As far as the economic category is concerned, commercial school is the only school which speaks about this economical category. As the name suggests, this school seeks to market and sell knowledge as a commodity. So, anything and everything sold as a commodity is termed in the commercial school. Unlike the technocratic schools where knowledge is accessed and shared to knowledge seekers, this school restricts knowledge to customers and organization considers profitable. So, as it is commercialized, only profitable aspects have been seen. Then the third category is said to be the behavioral category. It is, you have 2 different schools, one is called as the organizational school, other one is the strategic school. Organizational school focuses on collaborating knowledge in a learning community by strengthening the ties between different knowledge holders. Strategic tools, the major difference, the difference of thought with this school compared to the other schools is that in the other schools not all knowledge is immediately strategic. Thus, it looks at the internal improvements and problem solving. When there are internal improvements and problem solving techniques are used, the strategy can be improved. Now, let us see the core principles that are followed in the Earl school. As I said, it is categorized into 3 groups. One is technocratic, second one is economic, third one is behavioral. As far as technocratic is concerned, the schools are 3 schools: systems, cartographic and engineering. As far as system school is concerned, the core principles are knowledge codification is followed, cartographic people connectivity or income is followed, engineering flow of knowledge to improve central capability of the organization is adopted. As far as the economic is concerned, the marketing of the intellectual or knowledge property is taken care of. As far as behavioral is concerned, in terms of organizational school, increases the connectivity between the workers of the knowledge. Spatial is concerned, design of physical spaces to boost the contact and the activity of knowledge is considered. As far as strategic is concerned, becomes aware about the possibility of value creation by recognizing knowledge as a resource. Now let us see the focus that is followed in the Earl schools of knowledge management. In the system school, technology is the main focus. In the cartographic school, map is the main focus. Engineering, processes is the main focus, wherein the knowledge flows is the, and in systems as an aim you have the knowledge base, cartographic you have the knowledge directory, engineering you have the knowledge flow. In only in engineering we will be knowing the know-how, and in terms of economic, which speaks about the commercial aspects, which speaks about the income, wherein the knowledge assets are carried out, and in terms of behavioral as an organizational speaks about the networking, wherein you have a pool of knowledge and it is based on the community aspect. Then as far as spatial is concerned, it is based on the knowledge exchange or the knowledge transfer, that only I said it as KT, knowledge transfer as a place. And as far as strategic is concerned, it speaks about the mindset, the knowledge capabilities, it is especially required for the business. Now let us summarize this session. We saw about three different types of learning. One is the tacit learning, explicit learning and implicit learning. We saw about the knowledge creation techniques and its related challenges. We saw the three different categories that are available in Michael Earl KM school, knowledge management school. We saw about the core principles that are followed in the Earl knowledge management school. We as well saw about the focus area in the Earl knowledge management school. Thank you.